Hi, everybody. This is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. And today is Friday with a friend. And I have Joe here. Yes, I found somebody down in Knoxville, Tennessee, a male, and he's been watching the channel. He has a different name than Joe when he comments. And so he's going to tell us his keto journey and maybe some food journey that he had before he got here. So, welcome, Joe. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Sarah, and thanks for having me on. You want
So,
me to start? I'll
oh
start with
yeah,
my.
you can just dive right in. I'm ready.
I'm 55. Will be 56 at the end of next month. Um, I started about the year 2000, 2001 with Atkins. Bought the book, did the program, bought into it. It worked. Kept the weight off most of the time, and then about 2 years ago, I hurt my shoulder. Pulled a tendon very badly, lifting a bag while talking to somebody, reached back and did this number and then pop. And so I couldn't exercise like I normally do. I was a power walker, moderate lifter at my age. And I was just in a lot of pain. It just hurt to do everything. It hurt to sit. It hurt to breathe. It hurt to stand. It hurt to do anything hurt. It was just constant pain. And I had to watch, especially at night trying to sleep. I would re-injure the arm just by rolling over during the night. So I had to go to Walmart and buy about 12 pillows and build a fort around me like a kid again, so I wouldn't turn over and re-injure the arm. While I'm recovering, I'm watching a lot of YouTube in the evenings and came across the keto diet and started saying, oh, what's this? Let's look online. Let's do some research. Dr. Westman's video was probably one of the first ones I watched, his 45-minute talk. And I said, well, this is just the Atkins diet. And then learned that Atkins was just the keto diet, that he modified his. One thing I've learned, and I like to always ask people that are doing either the Atkins or the keto diet or carnivore, if you notice that when people do different variations of the diet, they kind of put their own little twist in there. And I'll just give a quick example. I think that Dr. Atkins really liked half and half instead of heavy whipping cream. And that's why in the Atkins diet, half and half is okay. And in most other the keto diets, it's a lot of sugar. You should go with heavy whipping cream. Anyway, got to keto and started doing it seriously October the 8th of last year. Finally felt just decided, just stepped on the scales. I had gained all but 2 pounds back from 17 years old. Yeah. Back to 240. I'm 6'3", and nobody believes it when I say I got to 242. So, and just started doing it and loved it. And then found your channel and said, this lady's like me. She's disciplined. She wants to keep it simple. She doesn't want to deviate. I've always been a person ever since I was young. My mom called me granddad when I was about 10 years old because she said I reminded her of her granddad at age 10. So I've always been kind of a conservative. Let's get a routine down. I love routines. Let's get a plan and let's work it, because the more you do that, the less you have to worry about, well, what am I supposed to be doing right now, or what am I going to do? So anyway, started that. Listened to you go through with your injury. I think I commented one time. I said, why are you not walking anymore? Talking about walking, and you talked about your injury. And I thought, well, I can relate to that with my shoulder. And you were talking about going down to OMAD to 1 meal a day. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. Gosh, she's got way more, way more willpower than I do. But I decided to cut down to 2 meals a day. So I'm doing intermittent fasting. And I think the best thing I did for myself was not commit to, you've got to eat between 12 and 8, because life dictates that you don't always get that choice. So in a 24-hour period, it's still 16 hours fasting for me and 8 hours off. But that 8 hours might be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., 12 to 8, 10 to 5, whatever the 8-hour window is. Realizing that in a 24-hour period, it's not going to make that much difference on your body. So that's where I am. I'm down 32 pounds, and I'm about back to where I was before. but I want to take it down and see if I can get to the weight I was the day I graduated high school, which was 185. So we'll see. If I don't get there, it's fine. I'm not. That's not a goal. That's just kind of a journey, just to kind of wait and see.
That's kind of cool. I was 10 pounds less than you when I graduated. So, when you start the clock for your 8 hours, is it because like you're hungry, or is it because of your job you have to like eat sooner? Is it something hunger driven?
No, I've never been hunger driven. The only problem I've ever had with food is what am I going to eat and what am I going to fix? I'm single. I've never been married. I don't have children. It's just me. And it, like my grandmother used to tell me when I was little, it's boring cooking for one. So I try to cook about 4 to 6 meals, whatever the recipe calls for. And I'm not a person who has to eat something different all the time. That's what I like about you. Also, what I picked up and said, this lady's a lot like me. I can eat the same thing until it's gone. I can cook a crock pot of something and then eat it until it's gone. I think I'm the only one in my family that way. Most other ones wouldn't dare eat the same thing 2 nights in a row. But it doesn't bother me. So no, never food driven. What was the other? I'm sorry. What was the other part?
Oh, it was hunger driven. Like if you ate at 10 versus eating at noon, I was just wondering, do you get hungry sooner? Is that why you eat at 10?
No. It's usually the job or just what's going on during the day that dictates. I have a real job, which is insurance sales, and it's over the internet now. It's mainly long-term care insurance and annuities, some final expense. And I can go on from Eastern time, 9 in the morning until 9 at night and go across the country selling and just kind of turn it on and off. And then I have another fun job I won't get into, but it's a fun job that involves some travel, which allows me, I tell people to do both jobs. If I had to sit here all day and just put the headphones on and do through my work laptop, I'd go crazy. But knowing that the other job, which is 180-degree difference, is coming up, that allows me to do that. So both jobs allow me to do the other. And that's what I do. But so, yes, more work dictates than hunger. I'm like you. I have everything jotted down, planned out, what I'm going to have for this meal and the second meal and maybe the snack in between. I'm almost getting ready to get rid of the snack in between and just do two meals.
What if you scrunched that 8 hours to 6?
Yeah. Looking at definitely, because I think it's Dr. Berg talks about don't shock your body, don't do anything drastic. You don't have to, unless it's a medical emergency, obviously. But that you start with 3 meals and then get down to 2 meals and then shrink the time difference. So yeah, definitely looking into that, and actually have done it in the past. Almost, it'll be 14 days tomorrow. Twice have done that. I did an OMAD. Not by choice. I just wasn't hungry. And so I said, oh, is this what it's like? So yeah, I'm definitely open to change, but also let me add, I'm still losing about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a week. So, with the 2 meals a day. So if it gets to a point where I'm not losing and I want to try to lose some more, I may go to OMAD and see. I'm like you, the metabolism after age 50, especially for men, I think it starts a little sooner with women, is a huge factor in how we should eat. Huge.
I agree. So when you do your not eating until your first meal, do you have coffee in what you consider your intermittent fasting?
Yes. Oh, well, I do the 4 hours. I look at it as a 4-hour window in the morning and a 4-hour window in the evening. And then, of course, your 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I will drink water with the Celtic salt that you recommended or that I've learned about on this channel. Love it. I got the Himalayan salt also. I always figured salt was salt, I'll do that. Maybe a little lemon juice in the water. But I've always been a water person, so I like drinking water. And I drink 6 to 8 glasses a day. even though I'm hearing that we're not supposed to drink. We were told to drink 8 glasses, and now we're not told to drink 8 glasses. Of course, we were told eggs were bad, and now we're told eggs are good. Now we're back to bad again. So you just have to realize what works for you and find out if it's bad or not.
Isn't that the truth? You know, we end up being our own advocates for the health.
Oh,
So do you have coffee before you have your first meal?
8 to 10 ounces with about half a tablespoon of heavy cream, and that's it. I don't put any sweeteners, stevia, or anything in the morning. I do what I call I call my morning water, and it's kind of a combination of everything I've learned that's good for you. It's about 16 ounces of water, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, about an eighth of a teaspoon. I started with a fourth of all these that I'm going to talk about next, but I had to cut it down because it was too much. Cayenne pepper, black pepper. There's about a teaspoon of olive oil. What am I leaving out? Turmeric. I do about an eighth of that. Ginger. And I mix it all up. I used to put a packet of stevia of pure in there, but I don't do that anymore. I can drink that enough. So that and 8 to 10 ounces of coffee, and then that's it until it's time to eat.
That's awesome. So you get that wonderful cocktail as a kickstart. I love that.
Yeah. And
I've done those spices in a tea, and I love them. But yeah, okay. So then you do that. Okay, so tell us about what your first meal is.
Breakfast. Which is another reason I went to the 2 meals a day and love it. I have always, from Atkins all the way to this, 18 years later, have had a problem with lunch. What do I have for lunch? Because I was, before realizing that carbs are, not our friends, I was a sandwich guy. Just grab a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly and tuna fish and whatever. So lunch has always been a problem. Then when I realized I could do 2 meals a day and I could just eliminate lunch, that was probably the biggest factor in going to doing intermittent fasting. I was like, yes, I don't have to figure out what I'm going to eat for lunch. So it's usually an omelet was the first meal with about 3 ounces of cheese and maybe half an avocado or an eighth or a fourth, just depends. And turkey bacon. I think I talked about this with you a little bit in the comments. I don't eat pork just as a choice. I'm not a fan of pork. Lovely animal. Love the cutest babies in the world. But I just don't think we're supposed to eat them. I think, anyway. So I do some turkey bacon and turkey sausage every once in a while, but mainly just the omelet. And at that time, I do what I call a keto coffee. Just do about another 12 ounces of coffee and put some coconut oil in there and some butter. I got some ghee that I really like because of you. I haven't got the Fourth and Heart. That's, I believe, the brand you use, but I haven't ordered it. It's on the way, so I'm looking forward to that. And that's it. That's it for lunch. For breakfast, for my first meal of the day at lunchtime.
Oh, that's cool. Is the avocado on the side of the omelet or in it?
Sometimes it's on top, sometimes it's on the side. A couple of tablespoons of crushed organic tomatoes on top, and I'm leaving something out. Sometimes I put spices in the eggs, some basil or something like that every once in a while to spice it up. But it's, again, I've always looked at the meal as just you have to eat to survive. I have never used it as a crutch like I know a lot of people do, and I understand that, completely understand that. Or the people that are addicted to it. I had a grandmother and a great aunt, 2 sisters that were like 2 grandmothers, and would go spend the summers with them, and they would, we'd be eating breakfast, and the conversation would be, what are we going to have for lunch? And then we'd get to lunch, and the conversation is going to be, what's going to be our snack before dinner? So every meal was talking about the next meal. And
totally normal to me.
And I would just kind of laugh and go, hey, why don't we talk about what we're eating right now and not worry about dinner? That's just the way they were. Their whole day, they had retired, but their whole day revolved around what are our meals going to be. And so, yeah, I don't do that.
Mm-hmm. So it's fuel to you.
Yeah. Now, I enjoy going to dinner with friends and family. going over to their house, going out to eat and enjoying the meal. And I guess we'll get into this a little later, but I can sit there and drink a glass of water and have a conversation while they eat, and it doesn't bother me at all.
I used to listen to Penn and Gillette, whichever one lost 100 pounds. And of course, he did it not eating keto or carnivore. He did it more in the vegan sense, I think, and lots of fruits and veggies. But he talked about that because he's always got social invitations. And he would go and either drink black coffee and have black coffee or water and just sit through the whole meal while they, everybody partook. And, after you get done with their comments to you, it's totally okay. And I suppose I'd probably be more engaged in the conversation.
Oh, exactly. And it's, with friends, at first it was just jokingly, they're like, you have to eat something. Why aren't you eating? I'm like, look, I'll come and enjoy the company, but I'm done with my eating for the day, or I just don't eat this late, or I've already had my meal, whatever the situation, or wherever you all are eating is not really got anything that I want. And so I would just joke and say, well, you upset my stomach when I'm near you. So I don't want to eat anything. And usually that elicits a laugh, and then we're over. Why aren't you eating anything? So yeah. Or sit there and order something. I've gone and ordered, I'll say, can you give me half an 8-ounce steak, or can you give me just a small salad with no dressing, some olive oil and vinegar, and I'm happy. So, yeah.
I'd order tomorrow's lunch.
I've done that before. I've ordered and they've said, well, you're not eating. I said, well, this is tomorrow's meal, so why would I eat it now? It's for tomorrow. And everybody just kind of laughs. That's the easy conversation to have. The conversation with why don't you eat pork, and why don't you eat bread, and why are you eating the way you're eating? That's the tough ones that I've had, because I've got kind of a quick wit, and so I have to watch what I snap back and say. But that's the tough ones to deal with. So I think I've commented this on your videos. Sometimes I'll just explain and I'll say, here's why. But a few times I'll just say, listen, you put whatever you want in your mouth, and I won't say a word about it. And let me put whatever I want in my mouth, and you don't say a word about it, and everything will be just great. And I either get a chuckle out of that or a rolled eyes, or, it just depends. But sometimes you have to just be firm and like, look, I can eat what I want to eat. You eat what you want to eat, and let's just leave each other alone.
Right. I didn't eat at my son's wedding. And by the time the food came, I think it was 6:30. And I made a keto pizza at 1 p.m. and ate it, which is more my time to eat. And so everybody else was doing the appetizers and the meal. I was so glad I didn't eat. And a few people commented, but then I just said, I can't eat this late, 6:30. And, but, I'm not used to eating that late. I eat usually between 2 and 3. But it's so funny. And people even do it here on the channel. They will comment on something. And it's like, don't invite me to your house or trust and believe that I wouldn't be saying to you what you say to me. It's so funny how people get in your business, about
Exactly. I don't have any allergies. I thought at one time I was told, since I had a ton of penicillin shots, I used to have tonsillitis before the tonsils came out when I was up until age 4. So Mom used to tell all the doctors or write down on my medical records for school that I was allergic to penicillin, but it turned out I'm not. So if you ask friends of mine and close acquaintances, is Joe allergic to anything? They would start listing several things that I've told them I'm allergic to. And I found out that's a great way to not have to explain why you're not eating it, because everybody understands that right away. There's no discussion. And it's some funny things too. Like one time I told one of my friends I was allergic to mashed potatoes, and she believed it. So.
It is funny socially how it goes. And, a lot of my clients, when I do my coaching, it's mostly about habits and behaviors and things like that. And it's like, how do we get through? Like one of my clients has a whole bunch of girlfriends, and a lot of them look at lunch out as a license to just indulge, in all the stuff that they couldn't have in the home, like normal people type stuff. And she's like, what do I say? And I say, you have to do fasting blood work. And so you can't have anything in your stomach or something like that. You just get used to these little white lies, I guess, but socially it can be challenging. It's like, I just want to be with you guys. Why do you have to make me the topic?
Exactly. Family Thanksgiving was my first year. Normally I'll just go and try to just not, I'll eat at the kids' table just so nobody will see my plate. I did that the year before last. Just give me some turkey and green beans and I'm fine, just like a little kid. But this year I decided I'm going to cook some things and just see, to show everybody this is what I would eat and how I would do it. And I did, oh my gosh, I got really crazy. I did a pumpkin pie that everybody liked. I did cranberries. I did, what else did I do? A dressing. I took my grandmother's, I did the normal dressing that everybody likes with just the plain bread and the Pepperidge Farm bag of dried crumbs, and then did my keto version. And the keto version was gone while the other they're both the same size. The other dressing was not. There was about a third or a fourth of it left. So that kind of helped this year at Thanksgiving. And nobody asked how I liked what I had cooked, because I didn't eat hardly anything that I cooked. I didn't eat the pumpkin pie. I didn't eat the dressing. I just did, again, same thing I've been eating for the last 2 or 3 years, was the turkey and the green beans.
That's cool. So how are you when you got to when you got on the scale and you said that's it and you decided to go keto, was it sugar? Was it the white flour type items? What was your downfall when you first got here?
When I went back was the bad carbs, just potatoes. When I hurt the shoulder, like I said, it hurt to do everything. I was just in pain, and I'm a big baby I'm like most men when it comes to pain, but I didn't have anybody but a cat. And she doesn't care. As long as I can open a can, she's fine. If I had not been able to open the canned food, I'd have been in trouble. But I just, it was easy to buy a loaf of bread and make a peanut butter sandwich and order pizza and eat the bad stuff again, thinking, well, this is only going to be a couple weeks to a month and then I'll be fine, and then not being fine. And it's just still hurting and still hurting. And then getting to the point where, oh, the shoulder feels better now. I can do some stuff. It's not bothering me. And then stepping on the scale and going, oh gosh, that month turned into almost a year. And I just like that, it comes back on.
Oh, sure does. So it sounds like it's more like the not the sweets so much as the peanut butter and the bread and the potatoes and the pizza. Have you ever made a keto pizza?
I have, because of you. I did your recipe, or went and looked for the recipe, and loved it. Loved it. I've got a picture on Messenger. I've done it twice. I need to start doing it more, because it was, and I'm a treat person. Being in sales, we were taught to reward yourself if you meet your goals with something. And so I will reward myself with I'll do a pizza, or who knows, maybe a little sweet snack, a fat bomb or something like that.
Yeah. So that sounds reasonable, right? I have my pizza every Saturday and it really saves me. I know that. Okay, so now let's get to your dinner. What do you have for dinner?
A piece of meat, 6 to 8 ounces, fish, steak. Most of the times, because it's lazy quick time, just a hamburger patty. That's still meat, right? Salmon, occasionally some lamb if it's on sale. I like lamb. I've started doing liver. My grandmother, at least once a week, we had liver and onions. And so we were told so long that, oh, liver's bad for you now. So actually the onions are worse for you now than the liver, if you want to rank the two. And so I've been doing calf liver, and doing that about once a week. And then since I was doing just one vegetable and about a cup to a cup and a half of salad. I'm not a weigher like you are. I'm more of a visual Dr. Westman, here, this is a serving, your fist size. But now I do 2 vegetables. So like, for instance, last night I had a steak that I had frozen, and I warmed that up. And then I had asparagus and green beans, about a cup of each. And I did that as an experiment to see, well, if you're going to eat 2 vegetables instead of but then I'm not eating that middle meal. So it's actually less food, but about the same amount of vegetables.
Do you put fats on your veggies or your steak?
Oh yeah. Butter. I put butter and butter and cook with olive oil. Usually if I'm due, I used to be a big chicken eater, but through your channel and through watching other channels, I've learned that there's a lot of other people out there that feel like me, that chicken is just not that, it's just bland. Now I'll do chicken wings, and I'll do thighs, and I'll do drumsticks. And those are still good because you can, they're fattier cut of meat. But the other day I was looking in the grocery store, and I thought, why was this such a chicken breast? It's just the most bland, tasteless, and it just looks funny. It's just, of all the meats that I eat, that's the weirdest looking one. So
I know it's funny. I cooked the chicken for Greg, the thighs and the wings, but I'm not pulled to it. I'm pulled to a pork chop. I'm pulled to spare ribs. But oh, that's right. You're not the pork person.
But I for a long time, so I know, and I grew up in the South, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I have beef 5 nights a week, 5 OMADs a week. So, but it was funny. One of the ladies commented this morning. She's in California, so for her it's before she goes to bed, and for me it's when I wake up at 3. And she said, "How did you get to OMAD? And could you do a video?" So I did a video of it, and it was so funny to do that leap into that 1 meal a day. And I think it's probably because of Mike from Keto Mad to now Carno Mad, and why I did it. And it was just interesting to have that leap, because I would have my eggs at noon and then my dinner type meal at 3. So I had a 3-hour window. And then I gave it up. But did
you start with an 8-hour window and then move it down to 30? You started with 3. Okay.
I started, I made it till noon, and I don't think I was ever 3 meals a day once I started on keto. On Weight Watchers, I was probably 6 meals a day, and but I was having more fats in my coffee leading up to my first meal of the day at noon. Right. But once I switched to that 1 meal a day, with my older metabolism or whatever it is, it just seems to work. I feel so much better after I've come out of it. Like when I wake up the next day, like I reserved the right to go back to 2 meals a day if it didn't work, but it just felt so good. I got so excited about it, but it doesn't help socially.
No. And then
I was eating it earlier.
Don't beat yourself up. You know how you feel, and you know what works for you. So just, and you can find it. And like you said, I may go to 1 meal a day. I may go back to 3, but as long as it still works and I still feel good, just knowing I have that option to go to, and not being strict, just like I'm not married to or tied to 12 to 8 as my eating period. It could be 11 to 7 or whatever.
Yeah. And you seem very flexible about that. There is a benefit to being single, because you can really be, you can follow your hunger cues instead of, like, well, I can't eat then because I have to eat then. And, and sometimes I watch people, and I know that they're in a relationship and they eat like without their significant other. And it just like, what do you share if you're not eating at the same time? Because, one woman in particular who has huge, she does mukbangs and, those eating while we're watching type things after fasting for a few days. And it's just like, Doesn't the rest of your family miss you sitting there watching them? Like, do you sit with them when they have their slice of, beef or meatloaf or something? Or I just kind of wonder because to me, it's like the end of the day, sitting and doing it. And so I do some adjusting. Greg's been out of town working. He's home on weekends and then he leaves. So I can eat it too, which is when my stomach says you want to eat. Waiting till 3 is like a whole extra hour. But you can just follow your stomach.
Here's the other side of that. Friends that don't realize when they ask me to do something, go play golf, go to the drive, whatever, go to eat. They don't have a lot of stuff to do. They either have a spouse that does most of it and likes doing most of it, or they have hired help to do it. And so when I start saying I don't have time, and they look at me like, well, there's no kids, there's no wife, and I say, when did you do the laundry last? When did you last clean your place? When did you last go grocery shopping? So then you can see the look in their eyes when they realize, oh, he's doing a lot of stuff that I don't have to do or haven't done in a long time. And so that's a lot of it. That's the other side of it. But yeah, I'm in charge of exactly what I eat, and I don't have to worry. That's a good side of it. I don't have to worry about, well, does the other person, are they tired of steak? This is the 4th night of having the salmon and bought a big piece of fish and cooked it. I want it. Do they want it? So it doesn't matter. The only one I have to please again is the little rescued calico cat. So as long as she's happy, the household is good.
She's probably very happy with salmon.
Oh yeah. Oh no, hamburgers are favorite though. She will eat. I have to cook her a little hamburger when I do mine. She loves it, and I guess that was because that was all she could get when she was out by her lonely little self in the dumpster. So
dumpster diving.
She loves ground beef. Yep.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing keto? Did you say?
Full-time keto was October 8th of last year.
Okay.
So October, November, December, so a little over 3 months. Yeah.
So you don't weigh and measure or use a tracker. You just eyeball things because you're used to your containers and plates and stuff.
I have done both, and it's kind of funny because I'm a detail, plan it out, write it down person. So yes, I did. I used MyFitnessPal, and I used, what's the other one? The one you use? Chronometer. I did that, like them both, but then I just said, you've got to cut out something during your day with the two different jobs and the travel. And once I got a hang of it, after about 6 weeks, that's when I decided I've got it here, and if I need to go back to it, I can, and I'll let my weight, dictate. Do you need to do this? And so far, I haven't. But again, I'm allowing myself. I can go back and start over again if I need to.
And how are you with the scale?
Once a week, and that was before watching your videos, just out of choice. And now sometimes once every 2 weeks because I forget. I know if the pants still fit like they were before, maybe just a little bit looser in the waist, everything's going good. And so that's what I tell people too, that when the ones that are interested, when you say, well, I've lost 32 pounds in the last 3.5 months, and well, how did you do it? Well, what did you do? I said, well, the main thing is here's the plan, and here's where you can go learn about it on YouTube or read this book or whatever. But the main thing I did was not be a slave to the scale and not worry about it. If you can stand on the scale 3 times a day and get 3 different readings. I can stand on my scale, which is an older scale, get a reading, step off, step back on, have lost another pound, step off, step back on, have gained 2 pounds back, all in less than 60 seconds. So I just tell, use it as a barometer, but your main thing is, how do your clothes fit and how do you feel?
Is there anything more maddening than a scale?
Exactly.
It just is such a non-indicator. And I made the decision to weigh once a month, the first Thursday of every month. Mm-hmm. And that's because I've had 2 days off leading into the Thursday. So I just like that rather than cortisol and not sleeping and all that. And so it's coming up. It'll be the 7th of, it's going to be the 7th of February will be the first time, and it'll be over a month. So I'm curious about that, but it sure makes life easier.
Yeah, it does. It's just, and what I tell people is the scale is good, but just again, don't rely on it for everything. Your body's going to tell you how you feel, and you're going to be able to look in the mirror, or even if you don't want to do that, just that pair of pants that you haven't been able to wear for a year and a half or 2 years. Or in my case, I put on a pair of pants. I don't throw stuff out. I'm a pack rat. So I had a 10-year-old pair of wool pants that I just loved and couldn't wear anymore. And they about a month ago, they fit. So that was, that's how you can tell too.
That is a non-scale victory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that sort of stuff. And I know that Mike, Keto Mad, Carno Mad, he goes by what his waist measures. And
Right.
so we all have our different rates. I'm more like you with the pants fitting. I have jeans for days I don't work, and then I have jeans for the nights that I work. And I just go by that. So, this has been great. It's been wonderful to get to know you. And of course, I like your consistency and your steadiness. I always enjoy talking to other routined people, and you seem to have a nice one with flexibility, though. You're not a slave to. I can't play a round of golf with you because I have to eat. You'll figure out a way before or after to have that meal. And
that I wanted to mention, when I did Atkins, difference. A lot of product. When I could eat the bars, the chocolate, oh, this is just like candy. Well, it was. So that's the big difference for me with Atkins and with keto this time. I am trying to keep it just vegetables and meat and just simple foods, organic, real, and not products. Now, also a little flexible there. If I'm having to travel like I do in the fall a lot on the weekends, then I will take a little bar, maybe an Adapt bar or something, and eat half of it. I'm also a cut the portions in half kind of person. But anyway, so that was the biggest difference between Atkins and keto for me, is just the shakes, and don't do any of that stuff unless absolutely necessary. And even then, I try to find an epic beef jerky bar or something like that.
oh yeah, cool. Did they have the bars, proteins, and all that kind of the shakes with Atkins like all those years ago, or is that a new thing with them?
All those years ago, I'm trying to. I think the first year was 2001 when I started Atkins, and it might be 2002, 2003 when I started. Now that I think about it, I had moved across town, and yeah, they had the bars and the shakes, and back then they had all kind of. They had a low carb flour mixture kind of, I can't remember what it was called, but you could bake with it, and they just had all kinds of stuff. And that was when I first realized that I hit a wall and I stalled with my weight loss. And so I went to read the book, and it said, well, what have you changed that you were doing while you were losing weight? And and it was the bars. And so I just try not to eat any of the products unless absolutely necessary.
And I call them candy bars with wigs.
The low carb candy bars, although I just don't think that they're low carb. That's one more thing I wanted to talk about is I was a net carb person with Atkins. That's what and I'm listening to you talk about 20 carbs, and at first I'm like, oh yeah, 20 carbs, that's me, 20, 25 carbs. And then you're saying not net. And I went, whoa, wait a minute, what's this about? And that's where I learned, and I thought, that does make sense. I'm not, so I switched from a net carb guy to a total carb guy person.
Congratulations. It's just the difference is incredible. I'm always amazed, and I almost forget that I'm total. And one of the things on the tracker is you can put, are you net or total? And the net would be way too slippery.
Oh, well, think about it. I can't remember if it was your video. I don't watch a whole lot of keto people on YouTube, so most likely it was yours, talking about what you can fit in on those 20 net carbs. And so I kind of chuckled and said, well, let's go see. Oh my gosh, you can fit in almost double of what you eat during the day, or what I should eat during the day with the net carb game, I call it.
Right. I mean, you could actually gain weight having like 20 net carbs, right? Or 50 net carbs or whatever it is. Yeah, to me, it's just dangerous.
20 net could be 75 to
I forgot
100
about that. I'm sad.
if you work it just like. But I also tell people, if net carbs works for you, because it worked for me the first time doing Atkins, then try it. And if it doesn't, then maybe you have to switch over to total carbs. Just be flexible. The less drastic change that you make, like I commented on another lady's video, she's doing a water fast just dramatically. She's over 200 pounds and she wants to be below 200 pounds. And she just started doing a water fast. And I thought, well, why would you start at that drastic? Just take your time. And then, I'm going to join a gym and I'm going to lose weight. And I said, my experience has been one thing at a time. There's a great line in Smokey and the Bandit, one of my favorite movies from the 70s, where Jackie Gleason, and I won't say this on your channel, but the son turns to him and says, but daddy. And he says, one blank at a time, Junior. And that's kind of a motto of mine. You just tackle one thing at a time, get used to it, and then move to the next thing. Because the more things you try to take on at once, you're just going to more than likely fail at all of them.
It's so true. It's like those bad habits and those behaviors. And so instead of January 2nd, signing up for the gym and, and then changing your diet or going on all those things, you're right. You're setting yourself up. And it was funny because I was talking to, it was a girlie in the cowboy episode with Mike, and he was talking about something. And I said, he was talking about somebody that gave up two things at the same time. And it's like, well, how are you going to know which one helped you? Right. Right. If you gave up like the artificial sweeteners or the, I don't know, net carbs, how are you going to know with the behavior or the item itself, which is the one that worked? If you're working on, like if you went to the gym and gave up, bars or something. But it's kind of like that funny thing. And you know what's ironic? Yesterday, I was talking to the custodian at the police department. And do you know how many quotes he came up with from Smokey and the Bandit? It's his absolute favorite movie. And he came up with so many Jackie Gleason lines. And now here you are. So, things freeze. So somebody else is going to talk about Smokey and the Bandit, I guess.
I'll tell you, this is completely non-keto. Living close to Dollywood, as I do in Knoxville, when she first opened up back in the 90s, I believe it was the second year, she used to bring in stars to try to build the reputation of the place. And she brought in Burt Reynolds. And I've always been a Burt fan since I was little. And a friend of mine had bought tickets for his wife to go see, and she got sick. And he said, hey, I can't go. We can't go. Here's 2 tickets. And I couldn't find anybody that wanted to go. So I went by myself. I don't care. But it was just listening to him tell stories, and you can tell your friend this. He went to talk to Jackie in Miami. Jackie was retired. And the reason he went down there to talk to him about the movie was because the people in Hollywood in the production studio were afraid that Jackie would not want to tarnish his image with the cursing and the words that they had written in the script. And long story short, when he got down there, he said, I don't want you to take this, and then you've worked so hard for your image. And of course, we all know now that it was the TV image was completely opposite of the Playboy wildlife image. And Jackie looked at him and said, are you kidding? That's why I signed on to this. And that almost all the stuff in the movie is an ad lib by Jackie Gleason. It was written in the script, and he made the rest of it all up. So I just love that story.
Well, those are 2 of my favorites. I mean, Burt Reynolds had me at Dan August. And I think that, I don't know if you remember that show, but also in Cosmopolitan, of course, doing that. And then Jackie Gleason, I mean, I just, there I was every Saturday night, I think it was, when he had his show. I just adored his wryness. And in the original shooting pool thing.
Oh,
it was great. What was that one?
He was playing Minnesota Fats. It was Hustler. What was it? With Paul Newman. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was great. Well, this has been a delight, and we're at 50 minutes now, Joe.
Good grief. Oh yeah, I can go another. I can, all these people listen. I can run this mouth. Trust me.
I got you started, huh?
Yeah.
So we'll do this again. And now that I know I have a willing male that's doing a great job with his keto, it's great to hear you. And in 3 months things could change for you, and you could add something, take away something. You could be doing OMAD by then. Who knows? And so it's always great to catch up. So in April,
I'll never do. I'll never do. I have to have my vegetables. I can't imagine ever giving up my vegetables. So
yeah.
And I want to say thank you for having me on. I hope this will help you and your channel a little bit. All that I've watched and enjoyed and chuckled. And I want to give a special shout out to Greg. Greg is my favorite. He appears in the back there sometimes and doesn't realize that you're on that you're recording. And it's so funny to watch him when it hits him, when he realizes, oh, she's recording, and you can see him kind of jerk in the background and then sneak off to the side one way or the other. And I always get a chuckle out of that.
Oh, I'll have to tell him, like the time that he had on his underwear and he didn't realize that the camera was catching him. Tidy whities. Well, thank you, Joe. I'm going to say goodbye. Oh, God. I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers, and then you and I will do a wrap up, okay?
Great. Bye,
all right,
viewers.
thank you, Joe. Thank you for helping the men that watch this channel that might need just to know that there's another guy out there that is a slow and consistent and steady turtle. That's what rules the day at the end of the day. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.